Welcome back to the Rom-Com Love Podcast. We are so thrilled to have with us today Colin Thays. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So, we have a lot to talk about. You are a director, a writer, a producer. And the first thing I'd love to jump in and learn about is what made you decide to go into this crazy industry? Crazy fun for sure.
I thank you. So I've just always been a movie fan. I always like to say that I started off, I watched a lot of classic movies as a kid. My mom was a big fan. We rent stuff every night. But then I did theater
Mhm.
and I
Oh.
did visual animation. So animation plus theater is like movie directing, right? It's like you
Hmm.
decide what's going to go in the picture and you act and talk to actors and think about character and performance. And I kind of always loved movies, took those two paths, studied film, and just kind of went for it. I made a lot of short movies as a kid, and always had a good time doing it.
So, when you did theater, did you do on stage or behind the stage?
Well, I intended to do backstage, but
Okay.
then it was like high school, and there were not a lot of boys in theater, and they were like, "Nope, you're going in the show because we need you." And I
Oh.
loved it. So I acted for several years, even after high school for a while, and it actually turns out to have been very useful because knowing the process and having been an actor even on a amateur level, it helps
Hmm.
you talk to actors and understand their job. And I think that a large part of making a movie is about knowing what everybody on set does and what they need, and kind of allocating time, resources, and attention to each aspect of the production.
Well, I actually did theater a little bit. High school was too competitive for me because I do not have a singing voice, and so many of our play performances and stuff were. I think we always had the spring musical, and then we had more of a like in depth with there. Somehow ended up becoming like variety shows in there too. So I did band, so I had the musical elements that way. But what I really wish they would have highlighted more in the middle school and high school days is that backstage ability. I knew like if you wanted to build, sure, but that really wasn't where I had any desire or talents with it. But going back, I'm like, how much I wish I would have just sat in the booth and just like job shadowed or kind of learned all the things because I think naturally I probably would have gone into this field had I known all these other things that are there if you're not in front of the camera. So I wish schools could highlight that a little bit more.
Yeah, no, it's there's both in theater and obviously in even more so in television and film. There's so many different jobs and so many different kinds of people and kinds of work that it takes to
Hmm.
make this kind of fake reality entertainment that there's it's amazing how many more tasks there are than people
Yes.
realize, right? And how many different kinds of jobs. I say, just to jump ahead a little bit, we're talking about
Yeah.
Love on the Amazon. Like some of these movies, it's like okay, the movie is she has to go to the Amazon and get on a boat and go down the river and find all these things, and that therefore becomes our actual life. Like we have to
Hmm.
go to the Amazon and find a boat and find all of those things and take the boat there. And like we do that stuff, right? And it's like
Hmm.
all those things have to happen to make the fake version seem natural.
Yes. Oh, 1000%. So, well, before we jump into that one, I just like to know what is your favorite rom-com because you have a lot of rom-com directing going on and then producing. So there must have been something in that for those movies that you love too. So what's the favorite one for you?
Oh gosh. I don't know that I have a single favorite I could call out, but I do love the kind of classic Hollywood movies a lot. And it's not really a rom com, but kind of. One of my
Hmm.
favorite go tos is Arsenic and Old Lace, which is a Frank Capra movie with Cary Grant. It's more of a comedy than a rom com, but it does have a romance in it. But that era and that there's so many of those stories. It's just the writing is so tight and the um, the kind of have an attention to story detail that set
Mm-hmm.
up so much of the modern genre and a ton of modern rom-coms. Like if you think at the core, it's like, okay, this is Christmas in Connecticut, or like going
Yes.
back and like how they reference these very well executed classic stories. And there's also a lot of
Well,
not great ones, but that's where I draw my inspiration
well, it's so funny you said that because that was actually the play. My first play in high school was Arsenic and Old Lace.
from. Ah, amazing.
Just like but no, I actually I'm in my mid 40s now and I'm going back. It's never too late to go back to the classics for sure. Because I really didn't grow up on them. Grew up on the Wizard of Oz and things like that. But I'm going back and at Christmas now really enjoying those Christmas movies. I actually just watched Christmas in Connecticut this year. And to kind of have, like where you are, you're getting the elements of you're like, oh, I recognize that from this, or and of course the classics never die. That's why they get remade over and over again, and there's always new life to them.
Yes, and also specifically with Hallmark, like in a in a meaningful way, Hallmark kind of is Hollywood in the 40s, in that
Mm-hmm.
they're mostly romantic stories. They're kind of in a relatively narrow range of topics and subjects and arcs, and like it's what you do in the middle that makes it work. And like they're very chaste, generally speaking, as a romance goes, and like that's what they were doing then, right? And it's
Yeah.
like so many of these movies call back to those, and we reference them and we use them. Sometimes we try to reference them in the movies. In Machu Picchu Proposal, we try. Oh, I
Yes.
don't. That's we tried to show it happen one night when they were watching the movie, but we couldn't get the rights. So.
I absolutely love that scene. So, with Love on the Amazon, so we had romantic comedy. So I actually, we just talked with JC last week, and I definitely called it a 90s rom-com feel, especially with her physical comedy. We, of course, have the Amazon. So you've got the elements. And then we had wonderful chemistry between our leads. So what was that experience for you? I mean, because you've done a lot of on-site and beautiful locations. So how did this one stand out to be something different?
Oh, well, I mean, the location for this is different than any place I've ever been. So uh, uh, that alone. But first of all, it
Mhm.
came to me from Tim Johnson, who we were talking one day, and he's like, "Hey, we're thinking of doing a movie that's basically the African Queen in the Amazon. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Absolutely! I love the African Queen. It's been a classic that I've loved my entire life. Like, I had a cat named Rosie Allnut. Like,
Oh my
yes."
gosh. Love it.
So right from there, it was a kind of a special project for me conceptually, like something I really wanted to do. I've
Hmm.
always been very interested in the Amazon, and it's such a unique environment. And then, we had a little bit of time in kind of the development phase when I was working with them and with Juliana Wimples, the writer,
Hmm.
kind of coming up with what we were going to do and watching other river movies and thinking about what those elements are that the audience expects to see and that make a kind of river romance adventure
Hmm.
work. And it isn't a huge genre. Like, there's not a ton of river romance movies, or river adventure movies to like call on, or a ton of Amazon movies, honestly. Um,
Yeah, it's not the easiest location to get to or work in, I'm sure.
yeah, I mean, and a lot of them aren't actually filmed there,
Yeah.
even the ones that
Yeah.
are set there, like Anaconda, which I still really want to see the new one, because it looks like a documentary about our life from the trailer. But uh, that actually wasn't largely filmed in the Amazon, out of
Hmm.
Florida, but like I think, but we were going with the model that we've been doing recently, which is go to place, awesome place, and then make the story fit.
Yes.
So we wanted to show what was really there.
Which adds such I mean, you can't get past the ability of being able to be in the environment. And because, we all know a fake green screen when you see it of the jungle behind you. And then it adds a whole different element of the story to actually have the place be part of the story. And so absolutely. So what kind of challenges did you have that you weren't expecting as being a first time movie there?
It's a very, I mean, we were very much expecting the climate challenges, right? Like
Okay.
we went in, everybody got vaccinations, and I went to REI and like bought the store, and you know, um, lots of bug spray and stuff. So that was not a huge surprise.
Mm-hmm.
What was a surprise is kind of just how the culture there interacts with the river, and like the river is such a part of that world. And
Okay.
for what example, um, getting everywhere was done by boat. Like
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't in Iquitos, you had to take a boat to get there. Even places, I picked a couple of locations that I thought we could get to on land. Like you were going to have to take tuk-tuks, which if you
Mm-hmm.
aren't familiar, are those like three-wheel motorcycles
Oh
with a
yeah.
cab in the back. But I'm like, all right, we're going to get 10 tuk-tuks. We're going to load all the gear in them and we'll drive there. Nope. Ended up taking a boat. Like we saw people load like dressers onto boats, and uh, they don't really do docks. They just kind of tie the boat to the side of the river.
Oh my
So
gosh.
everywhere
Like to
you
what?
go,
Like
it's
to
like,
what? A tree?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, but exactly, like this was a surprise.
Yeah.
And so we like when I was first talking to the owners of the boat that we shot on,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, with interpreters, we're like, hey, so we have to tie up in a bunch of places and like shoot these scenes where the boat is like they're getting on and off. At this
Mm-hmm.
point, we've already written most of the docks out because we've discovered there's no docks. But like, where can we go? Like, show me on a map where this very big boat can tie up. And they're just like, yeah, wherever you want. And I'm like,
That
that
rock
can't,
over there.
yeah, that can't be true. But that we couldn't get a better answer. So then we're out on
Mm-hmm.
the boat one day and like, all right, time to test this theory. And like, we finished this last scene. Let's tie up, find the closest spot, and we're gonna shoot on the shore. And they're just like, okay, and they just rammed the boat into the side of the river, threw a rope around the tree, hopped out, machete down a bunch of branches, and they're like, here you go.
With the gigantic cruise boat.
Yeah, that's just
Okay.
how you do it. And it's like you just learn that that's the culture. And also in terms of like that boat, we had I think 4 days after we got the boat to like clean it up, make it work, dress it for the
Mm.
movie, make it look like it was a cargo ship full of cargo, which
Mm-hmm.
was a big job for Olga and Paula on art.
Yeah.
And we were like, how do we get things on without a dock? Like, what do you do? And they're just like, hire more people. So we just hired a bunch of people to like carry stuff down this muddy embankment and up a ladder onto the boat. And
Oh,
like that's
jeez.
just how you do it. We had like an hour at a real dock before the first day to load everybody on the boat. But like that's it. It was the only time we went to a dock the entire movie.
So you really were Danny delivers in your own way, and that any way possible you were going to do it. Well, number one, I can't imagine because I'm the person who literally could have the boat on the dock as close as you still can be, and I still am going to fear that I'm going to step into the water. And so, like just naturally, I don't know, for some reason they've never been my favorite things to be. I love being on the water. I just don't like the element of getting onto the boat if I'm not starting on land. So like jumping off of the smaller boat to the bigger boat, I'm always so impressed when people can do it and make it look so natural. I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah. Ironically,
I
I'm
can.
also not a boat person, despite
So
having
did
done
you,
more boat movies than non-boat movies.
and you're not a boat person.
I know I don't
So
like boats.
how many I just did a cruise again, and I think like this was my third cruise, and it was the first time that the cruise was not in 11-foot to 12-foot waves, because we've always gone at the wrong time of the year. And so now I feel like I've hit that where I'm like I can stand it, but at the same time it's the being out there in a great abyss that really kind of gets to me, not knowing what's underneath
That's
me.
that's that's some seas.
It is some seas, yeah. So when you were on this boat, then you obviously have, when you're moving down the river, you have your actual crew that has to do the boating, and then you've got your film crew. So, how do you, in such a tight space, make all that work?
Very good question. So part of it is selecting the right boat. Um, Having done a bunch of boat movies, I
Mm-hmm.
know that you need a boat where A, you can get everybody on it, and kind of use it as our base of operations. We had so many scenes on this boat, like these
Mm-hmm.
9 or 8 or 9 days were based on the boat. Um, so I was like, we can't do, on a bigger production with more time, you would probably choose a smaller boat and then have support boats, and you would do hair and
Mm-hmm.
makeup on a different boat and then do costume changes and just constantly be ferrying people back and forth. Or in
Mm-hmm.
the African Queen, they built multiple copies of the boat and they'd put them on a barge so they could have all the support on the barge,
Mm-hmm.
and then only in the direction of the camera is the boat. But we didn't have time or resources for that. So find a boat big enough to hold the whole crew,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can hide, and then also find one where the steering wheel is not like visible, because
Yeah.
that's another thing. If it's like a and it comes up more on smaller boats, but some of the bigger ones they'll have like the column where the
Mm-hmm.
captain's wheel is or whatever, and like you can't hide it, but there's
Mm-hmm.
got to be someone there doing
Right.
that so you don't crash into the river. So having it inside in the cabin is important. So we spent a lot of time looking for the right boat. um, we looked at dozens and dozens of boats. We just driving around the harbor, knocking on the
Mm-hmm.
side of holes and calling out like, "Hey, can we come look at your boat?" We even looked at Navy boats, like,
Oh.
which is like Navy barges. We were going to paint one and dress it to look. So that's a big part of it, is just
Yeah.
finding the right boat, and then once you're on it, it's a dance. We kind of dressed it to hide like all the. It was a cruise boat, and we covered all the
Mm-hmm.
cabin windows with fake wood. And then
Mm-hmm.
we'd have, this room is for hair, this room is for makeup, this room is for camera equipment, and then we would, wherever we're shooting, clear everything out of that area. And then when we would do drone shots, we'd have to be yelling at everybody, go inside, get in your rooms. And then try to see in the screen, like, no, inside, like I can see you on the other side of the boat, like we're in the air. So it's this kind of shuffle to keep everybody hidden. And then you have to be aware of where the boat is and what you're seeing off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be aware of like the sounds that the boat is making. So like if you're shooting in the back, that's too close to the engine, you're not going to be able to record dialogue. So it's like you kind of learn how the boat works as you work your way through. We did do we built a fake wall in the galley, which was really the bar,
Oh.
to make the bar much narrower, and then on the other side
Uh-huh.
of the wall was where we ate lunch. So and where most of the production team was during the day, because it had
Oh
windows.
my gosh.
So,
And how far were you? I mean, did you? Okay, this is beyond weird, I guess, but did you guys actually just stay on the boat, or did you? Or it's not like there's going to be a hotel right down the road, down
no,
the
we were
river.
we were in Iquitos,
Oh, okay.
the capital of the Peruvian Amazon, um, and the boat was based out of Iquitos. And so we would every morning we would get up and go to the boat and then
Okay.
shoot, and then we'd go back home.
I was going to say that was that would give you a really good appreciation for
We
for those
talked about it.
who
The
are on
boat
it.
wasn't that big.
Okay.
I think it had 10 cabins and we're
Mm,
20 people. So it's like you couldn't really do it. Plus all the rooms, like we took the beds out so we could put the equipment in them.
yeah.
And it wasn't in the best of shape.
Yeah. Well, that's what I told JC. I said, I go, number one, I'm so impressed that nobody was glistening in the sweaty weather. So kudos for makeup for that one. She goes, "Oh, we were hot." I said, "Oh no, I know you were." I go, "I'm
It
just so
was
impressed."
so hot.
So scouting locations. Let's talk about that tree house. That was amazing. So how long did it take to find that?
Well, so that actually Juliana Wimbles, who's written a bunch of these travel projects
Mm-hmm.
that I've done, she does her research online, and she found that
Oh.
online, and so it was written into the script. And often on these movies, there's like one of those, a
Mm-hmm.
location that is like a kind of a reach. It's like that place is very expensive. It's like a
Mm-hmm.
5-star jungle place. And then we're like, let's see if we can get it or if there's an alternative. And we're about half and half. Like half the movies we don't get that place and we have to find an
Mm-hmm.
alternate, and half of them we do. So this one we did. We knew exactly what it was, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a trip, like to get there, like a physical. It was a 3-hour drive and then an hour boat ride. uh, and then you had
So
to go
that was
up
the actual, so
200 steps to the treehouse.
and how big was your crew?
We were only allowed to have 5 people in the treehouse at a time and 2 people on the
Okay.
bridges. So
Okay.
we had the Pablo and David, the genie team. They
Mm.
rigged a harness and would like climb up the tree and then pull the gear up after them. So we pulled all the gear up by ropes, and then we would kind of alternate positions of who was in the treehouse to operate because that fives includes the cast. So it was 2 actors, and then we could have 3 other people.
Wow. Well, kudos to you because that's a lot of definitely some things in your way that aren't usually there when you're on a sound stage.
Yeah, I someday soundstage movie, but it's not been my life.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, what I mean, you've done so many location movies. You've done Peru, you've done South America. I mean, like what has been your like reason and what's made it so exciting to be able to do movies in locations like this and say yes because you especially in this realm. The other question I was curious about is how do you get extra prep time when it's a movie like this? Because we know that they're really tight windows.
We get less prep time. We had 10 days to prep this Amazon movie from like land in the city and start looking to filming. It was insane. But
Okay.
basically, the why these movies thing, for years, I've been doing movies with Hallmark for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always argue, especially when we're doing Christmas movies, I'd kind of like half joke and be like, why are we shooting this movie in the summer in Connecticut
Mm-hmm.
where everything is fake and you can only look in like this tiny little direction and everything has to be made to look like winter? Like, why don't we just go somewhere beautiful where everywhere you look is the thing that you're supposedly showing? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then we kind of got an opportunity to try that and have been running with it because if you can adapt and kind of make the small team work. Like the trick is we don't get more resources or time, right?
Okay.
To do
Yep.
it. So it's like if you can take the same material
Yeah.
and instead of shooting the movie here, you can take less stuff and go here, but this
Mm-hmm.
is the place the movie is about, then maybe we can do something with that. And so that's kind of how we got into it. And I love it. I mean, you have to be really flexible. Like half the
Mm-hmm.
time you're getting to locations you've never seen before and rolling. Like you don't get to scout them, you don't
Right.
have any prep. You just walk in the door and it's like, okay, I guess like put the equipment over there and we're gonna look this way. Um, and you
So
just
like
gotta
Machu
go with
Picchu,
the
when you
punches.
guys, I mean, are you when you're up there because are you closing it off to just be you guys, or is there people who've made that long trek and that altitude and stuff like that? You're including them in the movie because that's where they are. Plus, you
So
might
Machu
meet people in the
Picchu,
background.
yeah. Well, Machu Picchu, there's really nobody in the background who was not part of the crew,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was open. We definitely didn't get to close it. We had to follow all the rules, stay on the path. It's one way.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to shoot around people uh,
Mm-hmm.
and plan very, very carefully. Machu Picchu was a lot of logistics to get those scenes in terms of what we were doing and in what order, and then thinking about movement and where we're going, through the place, uh, and then what equipment we could bring with us because it was very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, that is kind of what I said about like if you can do it with a small group, you can do more
Yep.
things. Because
Mm-hmm.
the other movies that have shot there were like Paddington in Peru and Transformers, which have hundreds of people on the crew and they
Right.
take over the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
We're not that. It's like you either have to be that or you have to be us, which is like basically a documentary. It's like a few people, handheld equipment, and we don't get in anyone's way. We just go and
Okay.
we shoot around what's there. Um, and so it lets us do things that you probably couldn't do otherwise.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
So what is your need to have equipment then when you are filming that small and remote?
I mean, my basic plan is we're a single camera show,
Okay.
but we have two cameras. We have one that lives on Dana Dalian tripod and one that is
Hmm.
pre-built on a gimbal. And that way we can change back and forth quickly. And really it's more about working with the sun than
Mm.
about like and planning smartly as much as you can. Like we're not a crew that's going to do a huge lit night exterior. We can do a small one, um, and we can't fight the sun. Like we just don't have
Hmm.
the tools for it. The best thing we've got is an 8 by or maybe 12 by diffusion. So it's like, and half the time we can't even do that. So it's really
Hmm.
about just planning to make sure you're shooting using the natural light and the environment you've got. And sometimes that means sacrificing the better view for the better lighting,
Hmm.
or just being really careful about where you stage your scene. Uh,
So lots of
yeah,
pivoting.
lots of pivoting and ideally, lots of planning ahead. Um,
Yeah.
and that, like on Machu Picchu, we had a more normal amount of prep time, and like
Hmm.
we knew almost all the locations we were going to use in advance, and we planned the entire shoot to be like, okay, we're going to be at this location in the morning, and we're going to shoot here, looking this way, so that the sun is behind them. And we'll go here, and it'll be on this
Hmm.
side, and like really kind of working with the environment to assuming the weather cooperates. Um,
Yeah. What would you say is one that kind of stands out to you for something that you thought maybe because of unpredictable weather or whatever that turned out better than you were anticipating when you were doing it? Do you have a favorite scene that kind of stands out that way to you?
yeah, actually, Machu Picchu proposal when we went up to Machu Picchu, it was fogged out, and
Mm.
we had to decide on the way up whether we were going to go with the plan or we were going to reverse the plan, because there's kind of the view, right?
Hmm.
The one everybody knows from up on that hill
Yeah.
looking down, and we were either going to have to do that first or last because um, it's not easy to get there from
You're right.
from
This
the
is
other
this is
area.
your day.
Uh, yeah, so we were gonna do it last, but the weather wasn't looking good, so we did it first. And we got
Okay.
up there, and you couldn't see anything. Like
Mm.
you stood on the grass and you looked out, and it was just white. And I was terrified. Like like the movie's
Hmm.
called Machu Picchu Proposal. If it doesn't have Machu Picchu in it, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a problem. Uh,
Green screen.
and but it ended up working out because we waited, which was incredibly
Mm.
stressful, just standing there waiting. And then like the clouds cleared, and when we actually rolled the first time, there was still like little bits of cloud clinging over it,
Mm.
and like it's so beautiful. Like
Yeah.
you could never have planned that. Like it looks so good. It looks so good. People were like, "This is clearly fake," and like it's
And
not fake. If it were fake, we would not have the little like walking lines and rubber mats. But thanks.
like if you only could see all the behind the scenes sweat and tears that were going into that fake scene. No, that's amazing. And like you said too, because then it's really limiting you for like sunsets for one, two takes possible, depending on how long your scene is. And like you said, it's not like you're going to be climbing that again to get to it for day two.
No, and
So
we didn't have 2 days. We had one day,
yeah.
and it's like you have to think of, okay, this portion is a 20-minute walk from this portion, so it's like you finish this and then go here.
So do you think that you're able to pull more out of the actors by doing all of these movies on location than versus a soundstage, or doing a Christmas movie that is just in, even let's just say I'm from Minneapolis. So you're filming in Minneapolis and pretending you're, I don't know, Lake Superior, which is our beautiful up north. And so um obviously, because there's always that level of having to have make believe anyways, but you're able to pull more out of people when you are actually immersed into it. Would you agree?
I mean, it has to be the right mix of story and actor, in
Mm-hmm.
the sense that not this is not for everybody, right? Like if you're someone who thrives on travel,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of actually wants to go see things, then yeah, I think that if you're making a movie about going to the Amazon and you get to
Mm-hmm.
go to the Amazon, like you can't fake, and you can, but you don't know what you're faking. That's part of it, right? Like the tree in Love on the Amazon. Like a lot of people asked about that tree, and like when
Mm.
we found that tree, it's awesome, it's huge. And when we got there to shoot that scene, like JC and Raphael were both like floored. They were like, "Oh my god!" Like we, I was kind of worried. They were so like impressed by this tree that I was like, "All right, we got to shoot though." Um,
Daylight.
and you know, you can't fake that reaction because you don't know what
Right.
you're reacting to. So in the sense of if it's a story about seeing a place, then being in the place absolutely helps the performances.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a Christmas movie,
Mm-hmm.
being in someplace really difficult would probably not help you.
Yeah. No, very true.
But in the case of being that it is about what you say it's about, then yeah, I think it does help.
Well, yeah, because there's like you said too, with the being able to be in awe, you're getting that natural reaction that there isn't that takes away that element of having to do any make believe with that too. So, what was probably would you say your favorite moment that you've been able to pull out of any of the actors? Because you've also done Love in the Maldives. Now that okay, that underground that underwater restaurant just I mean, obviously that's real, right? So
Yeah.
I just cannot fathom just the engineering for anybody to come up with that, anyways, in general, and then to have the ability. So you've just been able to work in some amazing locations that I'm sure that there's just things that kind of really stick out to you.
Yeah, I mean there's some, so you're asking about actors
Well,
or
I
about
guess I'm
locations?
asking about, I don't know, like, I don't even know what I'm asking at this point. I was so in awe of the Maldives too. I just remembered that one. Oh, let's see. How would I word it?
I mean, if you're thinking about like interaction of environment and performance,
Yeah, that's,
some of
thank
my
you.
favorite stuff was actually on a Costa Rican wedding,
Okay.
with Rhiannon, who I know you just
Yeah.
talked to, and we had two things in that movie that to me really stood out. One was getting the monkey to steal the backpack and having Rhiannon interact with
Uh-huh.
the monkeys. There were a couple scenes, one where it takes the backpack away, and the second one where she has
Mm-hmm.
to like she's trying to lure them out of the trees and feed them bananas.
Yes.
And like we didn't have trained monkeys,
Oh.
so we shot with wild monkeys, and like
Oh,
we would go out in the woods and like lure them down from the trees with bananas. And I thought that it worked. Like in the movie it
yeah.
looks real because it is. um and then the other one was there's a scene in that movie where it starts raining and
Mm-hmm.
the two of them have an argument and then split up. And um rain is a tough thing to do on a low budget. And we
Mm-hmm.
basically got a like a fire hose and a water tank and just went out in the jungle behind this resort and like sprayed water in the air, and they did this argument in the rain. And like Chris and Rhiannon, they're so prepared and like
Mm-hmm.
they're so good, and it was just awesome. Like the mix of that scene and that place, I was so happy with the way that scene came out. Like I thought that it really made that place sing.
So my co-host actually talked about the monkeys yesterday, and Rihanna was just so like, oh, thank you. We loved that scene too, and we're so glad. And she goes, and I thought it was believable. I go, well, obviously it was.
Yeah, I mean it didn't all happen
Right.
at once, right?
Yeah.
Like she fed monkeys or a banana to the monkeys, but there was an
Yeah.
awful lot of me, Alex, and David, the DP and the producer, standing behind breakfast with a camera, like trying to get a monkey to steal a backpack and like
You're like,
bananas to
come
get
on.
the secondary footage.
It's an
Um,
even trade.
I mean, they had a great time. They just didn't really want the backpack.
She was mentioning that, and she didn't really go into specifics of why, but she was mentioning that Polar Opposites was just a really hard movie in general. What would you say made that one so much more challenging or different than the other ones?
Well, I mean, there are a few things. One of them was that we initially were going to go to Antarctica. That
Mm,
was the production plan. And at the last minute, it was changed. and we
Okay.
were going to fake it. But we
Hmm.
had already committed to like where we're shooting the movie, so we're gonna shoot in Ushuaia, which is the southernmost tip of South America. First, we were on a cruise ship, so we spent a
Hmm.
week on an active cruise ship full of passengers, which was difficult. Then we
Yes.
went all the way from Brazil to the tip of South America, which is really far. It's like going from LA to London, right?
Okay.
And we went all the way down there, and we were shooting on the top of a mountain for snow,
Hmm.
which is hard because you're in snow and ice and trying to fake this stuff where it's like this direction is in the grass on the ground, this direction is on a mountaintop, and this direction is in a different country. And then from there, the last 2 days, we needed like large areas of snow and ice, and we found it at a glacier in Peru, which is at extreme altitude. And we had a whole slew of issues getting there and delays and airport issues. So we had to kind of rush up to high altitude.
Okay.
Um, and it was like it's at the altitude, it's the same altitude as the first base camp of Everest. So
Oh.
it's like lots of people needed oxygen, and like the air is so
Hmm.
thin, like your lips get sunburned, and it's really cold and slippery, and you can't breathe. Everything was very difficult, like, and everyone was sick. So it was like a real challenging combination of things
Okay,
to
well,
do.
no, 1000%. Because what she was just mentioning is that a lot of she's so thankful when people come up and I guess it happened a lot during the Christmas experience where they're like, that's one of their favorite movies. And she's just like, it's just so, and in a way, it's so gratifying because of, how much, people don't realize is it's not all glamour, especially in a
Yeah,
situation like that. So, but she didn't really dive into the logistics, but that completely blows my mind to be able, because that was the other thing too, is when you're like doing Machu Picchu and you've got the real, like you said, needing oxygen, and it's not like you can really stop because time is money, also availability, or that's what is set for. And it's not like you have a lot, you have to just have so many unexpected elements that you just gotta
yeah.
keep
I mean,
going with.
really, the kind of mindset going into a movie like this, and any movie, but it's more applicable to these, is like, okay, we're on December 2nd, we will start shooting this movie. And if that means whatever, December 20th, we will be finished. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever happens in between, that is what is going to happen, and we will accept no other answer. Right. And it's like you
Mm.
just have to have that mindset. And um, like we weren't planning to do 2 days at that glacier. We were planning to
Yeah,
shoot on a glacier in Argentina,
right.
and it just wasn't going to work. And we were just like, the producer and I were just like, let's go. Let's just go to Peru. We'll figure it out. Like, I don't know how we'll change
Hmm.
all these scenes, but we're going to change them. We'll shoot them in the location we've got.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just have to roll with it and commit.
Well, nothing better than committing. So let's talk a little bit quickly about specifically for directing of rom-coms. So what is a romantic moment to you that you've directed that still stands out?
Ooh, a romantic moment. I actually really like the ending of Love in the Amazon. The kind of
Oh, it was
chasing down the
great.
boat and jumping on and running together. Like there's often a kind of chase together reversal moment in a rom com, but this one I felt like really was grand enough that it
Mm-hmm.
it really felt good. And getting her out on the Pecky Pecky with Jean Paul and like chasing and jumping up and down in the boat and waving her
Mm-hmm.
arms, and like that JC was willing to actually go out in the boat and stand up and jump up and down and wave her arms. Like
It didn't fall off
it
of
made
it.
it
I was
work.
like, way to go.
I know. And that like, well, there were a lot of technical problems going on at the same time, but like just some of those shots, I was, you don't like, it's hard to dedicate the time to
Mm-hmm.
get those angles, like to get from the big boat to see her on the little boat, and then to shoot
Mm-hmm.
up from the little boat up to Raphael, like leaning off the deck and waving. And
Mm-hmm.
like the drone shots connecting them, and we even had a stunt double to like jump from the little boat onto the big boat, which we shot from a drone. So like we got all those pieces to kind of really make that reuniting feel
Mm-hmm.
epic. Um,
Well, I would 1000% say I agree with you on that one. And what I really loved, my favorite out of it was Raphael with the woohoo, like,
yeah,
because it was really like they had that conversation that it was going to be hard for both of them, and you knew that it's what he wanted, but at the same time, it during that dance scene, it really wasn't vocalized. So the woohooing just kind of took me, like the excitement that he had from it kind of took me in a different way that I was not expecting to go. So I think that helped make the moment too. Because it'd be like, are you sure? That's kind of more what I was expecting. Like, are you sure? And that
you're too
came,
late in the
but
movie for not being sure. Um,
but yeah.
but actually in another one, on a very different production side, also from Costa Rican
Mm-hmm.
women, there's a scene right after the big jungle walk, and like one of the last things we filmed in that movie at where Rhiannon's character get like gets back to the cabin, and they meet
Mm-hmm.
his friend, and they like have a conversation, kind of a heart to heart on the balcony, like overlooking the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
And we were so rushed. The sun was setting, and I was really mad. I was like, I don't want to ruin this very important scene.
Mm-hmm.
But they absolutely killed it, and just like the performances in that scene are so good, and like this is the like it feels very romantic. Just their
Mm-hmm.
performance and connection there is another one that I would say stands out for me.
So, do you think chemistry can be coached, or do you think that that's just kind of one of those things that you got it, or well, you have to kind of coach it because then a lot of these movies, or maybe not coach it, but pull it out of people differently. Because in these movies, we were taught my friend Brennan was she was like, do people still screen test? And I go, as far as I know, for most of these movies, a lot of them it's just an offer, and then you kind of work with how it just magically appears. So, as a director, what kind of challenges do those sometimes bring to you?
Oh, the challenge is there is no I mean, there's not screen tests. There's also not
Yeah.
rehearsals, and
Okay.
often even a table read. So usually the first time you see the actors together
Mm-hmm.
is when you're shooting. So
Mm.
you're kind of learning. You have to find what that dynamic is, and then isolate what makes it work, and like emphasize it
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Right, and
Right.
like and you can kind of know, if you know who the actors are and you've seen some of their other
Mm-hmm.
work, you can get a sense of what their personality is like, and what the character is like, and you have to have a guess, but you never really know until you see it. um,
Mm-hmm.
and can chemistry be coached? I mean, yes, in the sense that I think that actors, they're acting, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
even if they have
True.
to to develop that arc,
Yeah.
and you don't shoot it in order. So like
Right.
everybody has to be aware of like where in the progress you are, and you do try to be nice and also smart and schedule the more like the stuff further along in the relationship later in the shoot, just so you
Mm-hmm.
have time to develop what it is about that connection that works.
Mm-hmm.
uh you don't always get that luxury.
Right. That's actually what one of the first things I heard was they're always just like usually it's like day two. Okay, nice to meet you. Now let's go make out.
Yeah. We literally Machu Picchu day two.
Yep.
But the thing is, like, it's not good. It's not great to do that. I mean, you do it when you have to, but it's not great to do
Right.
that both because it's awkward, but more importantly because you haven't had the time to find the dynamic between those characters
Mm-hmm.
as thoroughly as you will later. And you kind of, as you go, you're always adding and building, even if it's just little things, little callbacks and gestures and interactions and moments that you didn't know which ones were going to be the ones that work.
Right. So, what do you think is the secret sauce then for a rom-com to make a really good one?
I think that it's all about the characters, and that's really hard to act on because
Hmm.
coming up in advance with interesting characters who have um, something to link them is not an easy thing to do. But for a really good romantic movie, whether it's a comedy or just a
Hmm.
romance, like you don't just want them to feel compatible, you want it to feel like there's no other conceivable outcome, right? Like
Mm.
this is the perfect match for each other, uh and it would be a tragedy if it didn't work out, right? And so
Oh,
like
yeah.
you have to create characters for whom that is true,
Okay.
and that's the hard part. And like if the characters are right, um, the rest it doesn't matter as much, frankly, even though it's most of the work.
Well, what do you think makes a perfect kiss on screen to make it shine?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have an answer.
Well, if it helps, and Rihanna she found her people. She was saying we're like we're your Hallmark After Dark girlies. So anything that's not a peck.
Yes. No, I mean it has to feel real.
Yeah.
Um, though it is also, you know, you have to fit within the expectations of the network, and those have changed with time.
Hmm.
What you can do and what you are expected to do and allowed to do, um, and that it very much used to be much more of a like a peck is
Yeah.
the
No,
expectation.
it's changing. We said, like we were that was a big topic of conversation where we're like the boundaries are changing, but one of the things that I completely agree with is she goes, like most of these are 30-year-old, mid 30-year-old characters who know where they are in life, know what they want, and are, like it should be like a running to you, like I cannot live without you kind of a thing versus a hey, how's it going kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So
and I think
I was
actually
just
part of
like,
the
I found my
answer
people.
too is that a really good movie kiss isn't necessarily about the kiss; it's about the moments right before and right after, and that it's very much in the in the face in that moment, right? Like
Mhm.
you gotta see it. Um,
You're right. It's
how
it's
you cover
something that
that
is
is important.
earned. It's also the music that gets chosen with it. You're 1000% you're right. Well,
We
I
just shot one where
oh
we were doing the kiss scene, and the Alex, same DP Alex was complimenting the two actors, and he's like, "You both know exactly how to do that pull away moment where you reveal just enough of your face that I can see both eyes, but not so much that you're out of the shot." It's like it's a skill.
oh my gosh. So well, let's end with talking a little bit about your producing hat. So you can you tell us what roles you have with cinematic cinema?
Yeah,
Did I say
synthetic
right?
cinema. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So I have been no worries. I have been working with Andrew Gernhardt, who's the producer and owner of Synthetic Cinema, for a long time since
Mm-hmm.
2007. And basically, I have directed a lot of movies with them, and then
Mm-hmm.
as the company grew, there were movies that I wasn't directing, and
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of help get like in uh, the logistics and production side. And over
Mm-hmm.
time, that kind of became producing to some extent, you know. And um, you know, I think I've actually done more that way than directed at this point. Like making a
Yeah,
living.
well, they looked pretty balanced when I was looking at your list online. And then I was going to say that two of the ones that you've helped with producing side is I loved A Newport Christmas, and we got to talk with Jennifer this at Christmas time. The time travel was I honestly, I think that was in the top three. I told her she basically had two out of my three because she also had the Grand Old Opry Christmas where we got the time travel too again. But then of course you've done Biltmore. You also worked on a Biltmore Christmas. So when you have your director hat in that capability and then moving to producer, is that a little bit harder or does that help I mean, because obviously you guys are a tight knit community of in the directors network, you know who everybody is too. But I was just kind of curious, is it harder to do one versus the other if you're not doing both?
Actually, first of all, less than you'd think. Like directors
Oh,
don't really meet each other. Like we're
oh,
never
really?
on the same movie, right? Like why
Oh,
would we
that's true.
ever encounter one another? So this is I've met the ones who I've produced movies for, but
Mm,
that's it for the most part.
okay.
But yeah, I think it helps. I mean, both producing and directing benefit from kind of what I was saying before, like knowing what needs to be done and what everybody is doing. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be different. Like if you have the wrong attitude about it and you try to like second guess the directing choices, you're gonna have a bad time. But if that's
Mm-hmm.
not what you're doing and you just trust that the director is gonna direct and you help facilitate and
Mm-hmm.
kind of keep keep what the production needs ready ahead of when you get there, right? That's a big part of
Mm,
it. And then also just making sure, kind of to go back to what I said at the beginning of like, if you make a movie about a boat on the Amazon, you need to get a boat on the Amazon.
mm-hmm.
And that has a lot of meanings. And when you're producing, like, you're defining in a lot of ways what that look is going to be, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what the boat is, how you allocate the resources, and like which parts you help get done, how you do them defines how those scenes are going to play out in a lot of ways. And in
Okay.
Newport, like there was a lot of visual effects work that went into
Yes.
that movie. We built a set for the dock, which was
Mm-hmm.
all on green screens, and the boat was on there. And then the time travel element, like there was a lot of effects work to create to make the locations look like they were in 1905 and to extend
Mm-hmm.
the extras and put in horse carriages and dirt roads and kind of all this stuff that helps make that world alive.
Mm,
And just thinking ahead to things like what color are the street lights, and
mm,
they would be gas lamps technically, so you don't want bright blue LEDs, and like can you turn those off? You have to ask the town, and like trying to stay ahead of those things
mm-hmm.
and not being the kind of producer who stands behind a monitor and is like, don't you think you should shoot a close up in this scene? Like, you
Well,
know,
and the other one that was Where Are You Christmas? And you had the black and white, and then you had, and then it changed into color as they believed in Christmas again. And so yeah, I'm so impressed. You've had some unique ones on your resume too in that aspect. So there's a lot of, I mean, it's just got to be a different fun way of storytelling. And what I was trying to learn so much about the producers is how many different kinds there are, and based, like we were talking with Brian Bird about When Calls the Heart, and he goes, sometimes it's just a person who has an idea and then they get a producer credit, or it's the person who made sure that our budget was there, and then for Jennifer, she was saying, she goes, well, I was the creative executive producer. I'm like, what does that mean? So it's just, and looking too, when I was on your website, like some of them say associate versus executive or just producer. So I think it's an interesting combination that brings it to storytelling.
yeah. And I mean, it's one of the least understood positions on set and even
Yeah.
by people in the industry. And there's so many, and there's no rules. I mean, that's part of it
Mm,
too, is I know the PGA put out some guidance of like, here's what we think these jobs should mean, but like nobody cares.
right.
And oftentimes it doesn't really even mean all that much. I have some movies that I'm producer on that I did less for than movies I was associate producer on that I was like the person on set. So
Oh.
it's political as well in terms of who gets what credit to some extent. But there are over like general guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's different roles in terms of like often what I do, and I have like developed or pitched things that I had had made that on the kind of more the creative side. But much of my producing is a physical production to like
Mm,
make this thing, and interacting with crew and physical resources and kind of the actual mechanics of how the movie is made, practically
mm-hmm.
speaking, is more of what I do than I spend less time successfully in the development pitching side of things than
And
in
you're
the
also
making stuff
writing.
side. I have done some writing,
Yeah,
not
you
as much, but some.
okay.
A
So
lot
is
of
there
rewriting.
a lot of rewriting? Oh, so like Love on the Maldives, that was one of yours, or was that a rewrite?
Oh, definitely a rewrite. I have. I realized recently that I have written an equal number of movies as I have writing credits on an equal
Hmm.
number of movies as I have movies that I pitched that were my idea, but none of them are the same. So
Oh,
I've pitched movies that have been made, and
okay.
like I'd worked on the treatment and the story, but then I didn't write
Hmm.
them. And then I've have a writing credit on movies that I like, rewrote, but
Right.
they weren't my idea, and they don't overlap at all. So
Oh,
I've never
well,
written one of my own ideas.
yeah. Well, let's end on, do you have any hints of what's next, or is there a genre that you would like to explore that you haven't been able to yet?
Ooh, I mean, in terms of hints of what's next, I have hopefully a few more interesting destinations of our sleeve for this year that we're going to do our best to make happen. But I also am always on the lookout for other genres. I'm a big sci-fi horror guy. It's where I
Okay.
started off, and would love to get back to that. But at the moment, there's nothing in particular uh, happening.
Well, thank you. I learned so much tonight. I feel sorry, I kind of feel like I was all over the place with my questions, but this was a lot of fun. So thank
Not
you
at
so
all.
much for all the information.
Absolutely happy to talk to you. Thank you so much.